Just get that breath work in a little bit, calm the body down, get that physiological sigh in. Okay, so for today, S times three, what that means is small, simple steps. This can be integrated not only in the metabolic realm in our daily lives, but just with any task that you have that needs completed. There is some neurology behind all of this and science behind a lot of it, and it's really interesting to dive into some of this. The research shows you don't really change bad habits, you just add new habits in. And so there's a couple of really good books. Tiny Habits is a really good book, and then Atomic Habits, really good. Those books are really good at how to integrate just new things when you're trying to take away a bad habit. The chances of you actually just changing that habit, either the research shows you either have to change your environment, you have to have an epiphany about that, or you do what we're going to talk about today. Small, simple steps. The chances of you having an epiphany, usually that happens if you have a major event. So if somebody has a heart attack or a death or something like that, that can really change. That's an epiphany of changing. And then and changing environments, the people, the social surroundings, people you hang out with, that's another big change too. The chances of you doing one of those two things is pretty minimal. Not saying it can't happen, it's just not likely. And then the third thing is small, simple steps. You give your body and your brain something achievable. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So when we have an uncompleted task, the research shows that it weighs on us. It creates tension within our body. And so there's a study that they did on waitresses. And so they would have really good recall on people's orders as they were taking it. And then they would forget, once the food was ready, they would forget which food went where. But what they found is when the task got interrupted, they remembered it better. And so the research shows that when we constantly have something on our mind, it creates a tension. Basically, it's putting you into that fight or flight state. It stays on your mind for a longer period of time. But when we complete a task, your brain's like, oh, okay, I can calm down now. And so that's what that study kind of showed is that there's an effect, and it's this Russian guy's name, Zeigarnik effect. I might say that wrong, but sometimes when these psychological people discover something, they name it after their name. And so it's a really hard thing to say sometimes, but they call that the Zeigarnik effect. And it explains why we remember things or things that are on our mind that we have not finished or completed. And that goes for a lot of different things throughout our day. We often have tasks or chores or projects or something that we're constantly just thinking about that we just never complete. And then that's constantly on our mind, just in our background. We don't even know we're thinking about it, but our brain still thinks about it until we've completed the task. Breaking these things down into small, simple steps is one way. And then two, doing things that completing small tasks is really good for your brain. So when we have a bigger project, a lot of you can probably relate to this. When we have something that's a bigger proportion, so a task or a project, and it seems so big and time consuming as we look at the entirety of the project, that we feel like it gets too big, and then we shut down or we procrastinate or we put it off. And you can probably relate to that at some point for some kind of project or task or anything that you had going on. So you procrastinate doing it, you shut down and you just sit there and you don't have any mental capacity to do it. And that's why, because your brain can't foresee you doing this. And so then it's like, okay, I can't. So that's what I'm going to do. And that can put us into a fight or flight pattern as well. But what the research shows is incomplete tasks and procrastinating often leads to the unhelpful thought patterns that we can develop in our brains. And that can impact our sleep. It can cause anxiety. It can cause higher blood pressure. There's like all these things it can be linked to because of that just constantly running nervous system. And that's one of the things, the beauties of the Living Light Reset is we're teaching you how to calm your nervous system down. And also, I'll talk about two steps today. And the first step is to be kind with yourself. We all are human and none of us are perfect. And that is totally okay. But when you layer in guilt and shame, it's harder to get done and it makes it way more painful. And so if you have grace with yourself through that, it is a lot more freeing and you'll get a lot more done. So yeah, people will procrastinate because of shame. So then you layer shame onto the incomplete task, and then that makes it that like snowballs, and it makes it even worse than it was at the beginning. So what we have to do is number one, be kind to yourself. So have grace in that, and just tell yourself, hey, it's okay that I didn't get this done today, and I did my best with what I had to do today, and I'll accomplish this task at a different time, and that's okay. Then number two is we define a way to make it into small bite-sized pieces, baby steps. We take baby steps or small, simple steps. And this takes the weight off your mind when we do that. And you can do this anyway. And then number three that I kind of layered in at the end is give your brain something achievable early in the day. One of the reasons the military makes them make their bed every day is because they're completing a task. So it's setting up the day for that brain to complete tasks a lot better. And so it calms the system down. So it's something as easy as making your bed. Your brain's like, oh, that's something that I completed. And when you come back at the end of the day and your bed's made, that's very calming to your brain because it's a regular thing. You're making your bed, you come back and it's made. And so when your brain can go on repeat like that, it's very calming to the brain. So whatever task or project or chore that you need, one, be kind with yourself. If you don't get it done, that's okay. And then two, let's break it off into small, simple steps. So just take some baby steps. If reading is one of the goals that you have, or one of the habits that you want to change, you set a goal. You like, I want to read a chapter. I'm like, okay, that's your goal, a chapter a day or whatever it is, 10 pages a day. But go even smaller than that. I'm going to read one sentence, and you start there. And so when you layer that in, one sentence to your brain is very accomplished, like very achievable for that day. And then you can read one sentence. And what's going to happen is you're going to read another sentence, and then you're going to read another sentence. You're establishing the habit, but you make it achievable for your brain. So you take it into that smallest of steps, reading one sentence, and your brain's like, I completed that and I can move on. But most of the time, what you'll find is when you break it into small enough steps, you'll want to do more and you'll get into a different state of mind, and then you can flow with that project. Whatever project you have, you just need to make it into a small enough step where your brain feels it can achieve something, and then it'll snowball and you'll be able to get more of that big project done. So with food, sleep habits, I know there's a lot of things on the back of people's mind of trying different things. I'm like, okay, well, the first step is put that on your grocery list, or whatever it is you want to try. Put it on your grocery list. It's a small task. And then the next step would be like getting it at the grocery store. And then the next step, it's sitting on your counter or in the fridge. So you say, I'm going to take it out and I'm just going to chop it up. And so you just break these things into small enough steps to where you start to do new things, and it's not as complicated and it doesn't have to be as complicated as we're making it in our brains. We just need to make it a small enough, simple enough step that our brain's like, okay, I can achieve this without getting into that overwhelm stage of things. Um, a lot of the too, fasting can be overwhelming at times, but I tell people once you get into around that lunchtime and not snacking while you're cooking can be another challenge for people. But I'm like, just start cooking some meat, put some meat on, and just make it that small enough step so you can make it simple, and then you can achieve your goal. So just remember the Zeigarnik effect. So if you complete a task, your brain can calm down. But if the task is too big to complete, then it's going to be on your mind. So if you can complete that small enough task, you'll be thankful for it and you'll get the relief from thinking about it. Small, simple steps that you can do each day is the goal. I think making your bed's a really good one that you can check off the day, and especially for sleep. With sleep mask, I tell people put that by your bed, put it somewhere you can see it. Even if you don't wear it for the first whatever week or few nights, put it somewhere where you can see it so it becomes comfortable to your brain. And then maybe try it for a night. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. Still leave it where you can see it. Um, Same thing with if you're struggling with putting the light bulb in your lamp. I'm like, just put it somewhere you can see it, somewhere where it's going to remind you. And that's how we can start layering things in. In Atomic Habits, the suggestion is if you're trying to start a new habit, is to stack habits. If you already have a habit, every day I wake up and I make coffee. I'm like, okay, whatever new habit you're trying to instill into your body, put it by the coffee machine. If you're trying to read a book, put your book by the coffee machine. If you're trying to exercise, put your gym shoes by the coffee maker. So it reminds you, even if you don't go work out, it's reminding you like, oh yeah, this is the thing I wanted to do. And each small step forward will get you into that new habit. So it's called habit stacking. So figure out something that whatever goal you're trying to achieve, put that by something that you're already doing in your daily life without even thinking about it. That task, you're not trying to stack things that you don't already do. That's not going to work. It's something that you're already doing. If you brush your teeth in the morning, put it by where you brush your teeth. Um, and that's the same thing with newer vegetables or new fruits or just trying new foods. If it's something that you want to try, put it by something that you already know you're going to do during that meal. So if it's by a pan, put it by the pan. So if it's by like a certain spot in the refrigerator, put it there. So just if you're trying to get your brain to remember your goal in that situation. And then remember step one. If it doesn't happen, be kind to yourself because it's okay. We're all human and it's not going to be perfect. It's like uh, one of those charts that for success, it's not linear as far as like this. It's more like this. It's going up, but it's up and down and up and down and up and down across the way. We'll have some valleys and some peaks, and that's great. That's pretty much how our life operates in that manner. Just be kind to yourself. Don't layer in the guilt and shame. And if you do, if that's a struggle for you, then journaling is really good. Like, where is that coming from? Most of the time, that comes that guilt and the shame. It's coming from an event previously in your life. Then you can journal through that. So, small, simple steps and how to change our quote unquote bad habits. Another good one that I thought of earlier too is if you're a soda drinker and that was a really hard thing for you to give up, putting water by your soda each time. That's a good habit stacker too. And if you were a soda drinker previously to your living light reset and don't want to go back to that bad habit, and then quit buying it for one. But you get your water bottle out and put it on your counter so it reminds you to drink that water. So number one, in your small, simple steps. So be kind to yourself. And remember gratefulness. That's really good in that. Number two, make it into bite-sized, small habits, tiny habits, the smallest of which can become achievable. And then three, get a sense of accomplishment every day is something that is really calming to the brain too. Whether it be making your bed or brushing your teeth or like whatever you can do to have that sense of accomplishment and something that you're doing on a daily basis or something that you might do every once in a while that you could probably do on a daily basis. Those small tasks, especially in the morning. I forgot to say that, especially in the morning, your morning routine is really important. So establishing and accomplishing a task first thing in the morning is going to set the rest of your day up to snowball like that. You will feel more resilient and more task completion oriented if you do it first thing in the morning. That's why making your bed can be a really easy one for that because you completed a task and it doesn't take very long and then your brain can kind of move on and do bigger and better things for the day. So S times three is small, simple steps. That's how we are going to shift some of these habits that we do that might not be favorable. And that's kind of some of the psychology around it as well. All right, guys. Have a great day. We'll talk to you guys next Thursday.